All right. Time for another baseline drive. You know, long time ago when I first started coaching out of high school, I used to start every practice by 3 whistles. I'd holler, all right. I'd clap 3 times and say, on the baseline. And now when I say that, everybody thinks I stole Matthew McConaughey's line. And I'm really convinced that he just watched one of our practices and got it from me. I want to take some time to talk about some things that were in the news. There's a lot of talk about NC2A transfers and whether they should be allowed or not. Tubby Smith came out and said, we're just teaching our kids to quit and give up, transfer someplace else. Controversy is the coaches get to leave, which may or may not be right either, but that doesn't make the other one right. And then the epidemic is in high school as well. The number of transfers per year in high school is crazy. The number of top 50 high school recruits in basketball, it'd be hard-pressed to find many of them that didn't go to multiple schools during their high school career. So there might be something to that. And I think that one thing sports really does is it provides an opportunity to learn from struggles and setbacks and failure and how to deal with those. American Idol is coming back on TV, and I was a junkie, used to watch the first version. I hope this rendition is just as good to me. But when they would have auditions, there'd always be somebody that didn't make it that would go out in the hallway and they'd rant and they'd rave and they'd cry and get angry and swear about how, they couldn't have made it and they did their best and why can't they go to Hollywood? And I always turn around and say, that person must not have played youth sports because they didn't learn those lessons of, grit and perseverance and resilience and the toughness that it takes to keep working and keep fighting and hoping that it gets better and you do it again better, the next day and impress somebody differently. I remember when my oldest son was in Little League, when we used to play, another team would play every team twice. He would play a different position each game. One game he'd pitch, the other game he'd play third base because the third baseman pitched. Or when the shortstop pitched, he'd play shortstop. And even if the catcher pitched, he'd catch. So he didn't really have a position. When it came time for All-Stars, the All-Star coach kind of said, Sal, you get to first, and Ryan, you get to short, and Teddy, you get to second, and Charles, you get to third, and Sean, you back up Mark at catcher. And so for a few practices, he was the backup catcher who does nothing in Little League practices. So he came home one day, and he was kind of frustrated and upset. Dad, what should I do? I said, you got to hustle everywhere you go. You got to sit in the front of the group, make eye contact with the coach, make sure he knows that you're listening, give your best effort in every drill and everything that you do, and then hit the heck out of the ball when you get an opportunity, which really is what it comes down to sometimes is producing when you get a chance. And so he had one of the best months of youth baseball he ever had, kind of had a breakout season, some newfound power, and it kind of propelled him to the next few years and on into, a little college baseball career. So, those opportunities, when you can overcome them, are a good thing. And it all is based on the perspective that you take when you're faced with that. My youngest daughter, when she was a junior in softball at high school, was clearly one of the best 3 outfielders, and her coach told her so. But she wasn't going to be in the starting lineup. She had to be on the bench because it provided the bench some speed on the bench and gave him an opportunity to pinch hit somebody or pinch run somebody or have somebody on the bench that could get a bunt down that she was really good at. And so it was a hard pill to swallow that she had a particular role and it didn't involve starting on the team, even though she was one of the best players, certainly one of the best 9. And so she had a lot of good appearances and she played a little bit in the field, but the following year when she was a senior, there was another little girl in the exact same spot. Little fast girl, wasn't starting. And we were giving that girl a ride home one day, and Brittany was turning around, trying to console her a little bit because she was complaining about not being in the lineup. thinking that she was getting shortchanged. And Brittany said, that was me last year. And what I ultimately realized was that every time I got a chance to pinch hit and get a bunt down, it was a really crucial spot in the game. And every time I pinch ran, my run became real important. So while I didn't play as much, every time I did was a really, really important situation. And that's just you this year, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And next year will be your chance. And I thought that was a really mature way of her to come to believe in that and buy into it a little bit. My oldest daughter faced the same kind of thing when she was in college. She chose to go to a college where she knew she was going to play behind the Conference Player of the Year for 2 years, but she wanted to go there because of her major, and she passed up an opportunity to play any 2 of 3 sports in college. She had a chance to be a scholarship athlete at a little Christian school in Kansas if she would commit to playing 2 sports, and she could choose whichever 2 she wanted. So she had a chance to play college athletics on a scholarship in any one of 3 sports, volleyball, basketball, or softball, but she wanted to play basketball at the University of Redlands. So her junior year is supposed to be her time, and the coach decides to go on a sabbatical, and one of the new assistant coaches had recruited another player who was very similar to my daughter Heather, and because the new assistant coach had seen this girl that she recruited a lot, she got some opportunities early and ended up in the starting lineup, and could have been bitter about it, but kind of took the same focus. So you just got to work hard and try to earn your spot. And eventually, at the semester, the other coach came back from his sabbatical. My daughter had outplayed. The other girl earned a spot back in the starting lineup and finished her career the following year, starting every game her senior year, and was one of the leading shooters in the top 10 categories in her conference, and finished and graduated in the top 5 in some shooting percentage categories in college. So had a great career. Met her husband at the college, and they have 2 beautiful grandkids. And so, what would have happened if she had transferred to get away from that and chase, something different somewhere else? She went on to get her doctorate in physical therapy, and so. On graduation day, I said, "Honey, I'm so proud of you. How did you make it through such a difficult program?" And she said, "Daddy, I never would have made it if it wasn't for shooting slumps and losing streaks." So the bad stuff that happens, the struggles that kids go through, are really the things that propel them to great things later. And I have to think that the struggle that she went through just in earning that spot meant a lot more to her than if it was just granted to her because it was her turn. So the bottom line in all of those situations is that you can't fret about it. You can't stress and moan and groan. You need to just do you. Focus on giving your best effort and doing what the coach is trying to teach you, and bouncing back from mistakes and setbacks and trying to be better the next day. And pretty soon you'll find your opportunity is right there in front of you. So the bottom line that we should all just go out and try to do every day is be great, and then good things will happen. Coach Loke, out.